So, first video, I've got several videos on YouTube. First video of apparently I seen a squirrel. I was supposed to be painting, which I still made to get it done. I was supposed to be painting a Monte Carlo that I rescued from scrap. There's my son's car. We've been slowly bringing it back to life. It's a neat car. It's front wheel drive, basic whatever, but it's a neat car. Bring a lot of things back to life. A lot of these graphics and stuff I do in house. These yellow ones, they're sitting on top of this car over here, need to be hand cut because that's a specific item that you just can't find. It's kind of a one-off thing, I think, but that wasn't the point of the video. But the Monte Carlo that I was supposed to be painting is right there. But seen a squirrel. For a while I've been wanting a four-wheel drive, basically just a four-wheel drive four-wheeler. Pretty simple deal. But I got to looking and I'm like, dude, the shit's stupid expensive. Even a decent four-wheeler that got a blowed motor, blown motor, needs a motor, they want $1,500-$1,800. I'm like, I am not going to spend that kind of money. Well, I've had this thing here. It's a 91 Trail Boss 350 liquid cooled 2-stroke four-wheel drive. As you know, all Polaris stuff. I know now, but it's all on-demand four-wheel drive. I've got most of all the... Basically, this was a basket case that I picked up for $100. And then I literally wheeled it in here, and now all of a sudden it's... it's a crazy build. So even after all the... Basically, after it's all said and done, this machine is going to be completely restored. There's not going to be any nut and bolt that isn't touched. I do paint body work. I do powder coating in-house. I do so much shit. So it's kind of nice to be able to apply a lot of this stuff, like the winch came from the floor. I used to winch cars in. I don't do that too much anymore. But even still, it was sitting on the floor over there, but bolted to the floor. But even still, I can just, thanks to Harbor Freight, I can still go out and buy one for $50 or whatever. I got everything bought for this thing. Go around here. Several projects in the works. It's just ridiculous. The shop's a mess, but that's what we do, right? So, yeah, I've just thought it was kind of cool. I always wanted to kind of do that on a four-wheeler. I took some rod and threaded rod and welded up a spider web. The middle is an old bearing that came out of the front because I replaced all those bearings. I've got all the Hillard clutches working. The magnets, whatever that's in the back. Got that one working. This one, applied power to it, was actually all working, but I got it all together. And, it was like a thousandths or almost zero clearance from the outer ring that locks it together. Anybody that's had that apart knows what I'm talking about. So that being said, then I was dealing with used shocks. A pair of shocks is $100. Got this one used for, I think it was $35, but I really, at the end of the day, I kind of worked that seal a little bit, kind of grabbed some life out of it, but it's got some dampening left. But any used shock that you buy online, it goes through the mail and it's tipped on the side, if that seal is any remotely even some sort of bad, the shock will arrive complete junk. So at the end of the day, which I'd just spend $100 for 2 new ones, I'm in over that just based trying to save money. And in reality, I didn't save anything because I saved this one, but the last 2 that showed up for to try to save this side. I know they're not side specific, but I was just trying to nickel and dime it. I should have just spent the $100 or $94 and bought the 2 fucking shocks and been done. Everything was replaced. The motor's out. It's in the back. I'm gonna have to go. I bought a stock piston, standard bore piston, because when I first calipered the top of the bore, I've been in the automotive machine for 20 years, so boring and honing something and trying to grab a specific side clearance for your piston isn't really no big deal to me. It just kind of pissed me off, because this, I just took for granted that the bore was good on it. I kind of calipered the top. It looked like I had probably 5 thousandths sidewall clearance from piston. But then I got the new standard bore piston, got it in, mic'd it, set up the dial bore gauge accordingly, went down to the bottom of the bore on the jug, and I was at 20 thou over the goddamn piston. So I need an 81 mil piston. I'll be ordering that soon to clean the bore up and keep it true. The thing was just completely fucked in the bottom end. I think they ran it low, like dry on counterbalance oil. It never ends. So the good thing was the transmission still had oil in it. Changed it out. All the gears seemed good. Of course, there's only 2 gears in it. Then you have the centrifugal clutch. I'll probably put a clutch kit in it, the spring kit, so it'll pull. The centrifugal will pull a little quicker, because I went a little bit different on height of tires, so I want that centrifugal clutch to kind of pull in tighter and quicker. So still got to pull these off, powder coat them. I'm going to do some fabrication on them with some aluminum, make them cooler. Got all these chain guards, all the stuff, all the plastic's been painted, cleared, as well as all this stuff up here. I've got all the LED lights necessary. The main light up here, I just wet sand buff the lens and then put in a 9005, I think it was, no, 9006 LED bulb, because I have tons of that shit laying around. Since I put the winch under here, the OEM lights that I put LEDs in wouldn't fit because I painted them body color. So I got some slimline LEDs coming. I'm gonna fab up kind of a shroud, if you will, I guess. Well, so they look like they belong. So, and then I'll end up having a dash. The thing only had like 1,700 miles on it, I think, which is pretty low miles for a 91, but the thing had just been trashed and beat. So yeah, working on that. The only thing I got left to buy is obviously the piston that I screwed up on, didn't measure the bore. So I got to buy a piston, 2 more rear wheels. On these older Polarises, they got 4 on 156, which I just picked up an 02 Sportsman for a build next season. And then realized that they did 156 on all 4 corners, which was really stupid, because on the back side they did 156 up front and they did 4 on 100 millimeter on the back. And I'm like, I was going to buy specific wheels. 156 up front, 100 in back. But I just decided, look, based on this other Polaris that I got, these ITP wheels are really nice. They may end up on the 4-stroke 400 that I just got. I don't know. So I decided to buy all 4 156s, and then I'll just buy I could have machined them because I machined some for my Honda out here. I took the old wheels off of this and put on my 254 tracks 85. I just machined an adapter in-house to go because the front on that was 130. So I went from 130 to 156 up front, which was basically just an aluminum disc. And then I plasma cutted the window out after I got that bolted on. The window for the lug nuts, basically. I bolted it solid, and then it just allowed the aluminum disc to become part of the wheel, and then it bolted on that Honda. So in this aspect, rather than, it was like 30, I think it's like $35 for a pair of these. I'm like, that's, time well spent machining aspect. So I'm just going to go ahead and buy all four 4-on-1 to 56 wheels, and they're 14s, and I'm upgrading to 14s, which this thing will look, once this thing's all assembled, granted it's a two-stroke, and I'm not real fond of the two-strokes, but they're cool and in their own right mind. But after this thing's all put together, it's going to be a pretty bitchin' little four-wheeler. As you can see, everything's been recoated, waiting for assembly. I've got decals that I cut in-house as well. Got all this shit in the way. There's my plotter. I've got dual layer decals that it'll say Polaris on the side, and it's got a checker flag that, just follows the body lines of this and all the plastic. And then the exhaust cover that was missing, that'll bolt right to here, right there. And then all the stuff, it's got all new stainless hardware with nylon lock nuts. Up here for the dash, I'm going to end up doing one of them universal. It's a digital display. It's got a tack, speedo, temp, fuel level, which I won't need, but knowing me, I'll try to figure out a way to hook it up anyway. But yeah, it's going to be a neat little piece, and this is kind of my first video on the build, so this is just a battery sitting here for a counterweight because a lot of weight's up front on this lift, and that acts as some weight. But you can see here I've got all this stuff cleaned up, and this is all powder coated candy blue, everything. But like I said, I'll have this. It's like it's 110 4-on-110 to 4-on-1 to 56 adapter. It's a 1-inch thick. And then that'll adapt, and it'll make them all 156. And then the fronts, these caps don't fit as standard. If you bolt them on, you need about a 1/2 inch because of the hub. It doesn't allow the cap to fit, so I just bought some spacers for I think it was $28 to space them out 1 inch. So everything will be spaced out 1 inch. One being the front, I'll be able to keep the caps up front, hide all that, because it sucks because it's kind of a bittersweet thing because you have to pull the wheel off to service the oil and shit for the Untitled Clutch, which if you had an OEM wheel, you could just keep it on there and do it right as is, but that's not really that big a deal to me. So, but the reason I thought about doing that, keep them all 156, is because I think that 400 4-stroke that I just picked up, the Sportsman, these wheels may end up on that, and then I may put the ones that are on that on this one. It'll still look cool. They're 12s, I think. I could powder coat them candy blue or something really neat, and still keep the machine cool. So what these, for what these things cost, I don't really want to buy another set. I just basically started with, I just wanted a freaking four-wheeler that pushed snow. Now I'm into over my head on, builds and being excited about it, because even the 250 came apart. Here's the cart for all the parts. The 250 came apart. I ported the head, did a valve job. Everything. That stuff's simple to me. You can't really see in there now, but I don't think that I can turn the flash on. Well, maybe. Yeah, see there? So I ported that. That's the intake port. And then, yeah, exhaust port is ported. Cam, I just got to get the new timing chain on, get the cam timed. Then I starter gears, new starter, all that shit for the 4Trax 250, which is two-wheel drive, but I built basically a weight tray and an adapting a hitch. So I'll have probably 300 pounds on the back side of it. And then I've got it basically fabbed up to house a blade that I have. I did blade my gravel driveway and it worked out real well because of the thing was smoking like to beat hell. So like I said, I took it all off and put a new jug on, new piston, re-ringed it, honed it, checked all the clutches out, serviced the head, ported the head, valve job, back cut the valves, got tulip valves in it, which are kind of neat. I believe, in my opinion, have been porting heads for over 20 years, and even this old Chinese stuff. This is basically a little mini Hemi. The stuff that goes on the side of those ports was ahead of its time, in my opinion. So it didn't take much to grab 20 CFM out of an intake port, which I don't know what that I think it's like 30 horse. It's not going to be uncommon to be over 40 horse pretty quickly, even with a stock camshaft. So that'll be pretty neat. I just want to get that one running, and yeah, but kind of got in over my head with the ATV builds, and been pretty excited about this 91 Trail Boss, and thought I'd make my first video on what's to come. So this probably will be the first of a few more to follow. Thank you.